Hey Cakenistas, it's Marisha. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody asked you to make something and your mouth said yes, but your mind said no, why would I do that? This is one of those moments, but it's a good moment. I told myself if I ever got this request, I was not gonna turn it down because it scares me. Sneaker cakes scare me. Why? Because I've never done one before. And it was for a good occasion. Like they were having a 50 years of hip hop 50th birthday. It's like, how can you turn that down? An Adidas sneaker cake with the gold chain. And I couldn't say no, but everything in me was like, girl, what? So you guys are going to see how I created the Adidas sneaker cake. So if you have not done so yet, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, press on the notification bell, and let's get started. Okay, Cakenistas, here is the stencil that I'm using for my cake today. My client did send me 3 pictures of the actual sneaker that she wanted, which was a little bit intimidating, but I was able to Google the sneaker and I got a pretty close template online, or like an outline really. So I traced that outline onto some paper, and now I have 2 9x13" cakes, vanilla cakes. I'm simply going to put that stencil right on top. And yes, I only have 2 stencils, okay? So this is very much so a free-handed, fly high with your artist eye type of cake. I have cut out my cake, and I do need this to feed about 25 to 30 people, so I made sure to make this a large and in charge cake. I'm going to put those scraps to the side, but I definitely will be using them. So this is my first layer right here. I'm just going to level it off just a little bit to make sure that I'm starting off with a nice good base. And if you're wondering what kind of knife I'm using, some of you may know, it's a fillet knife, yes. They're not just for fish, poultry, and beef and pork, but they are also good for cake. If you've never tried it, give it a try. Trust me on this one. So I have my vanilla buttercream here. I'm gonna give this cake a nice thick layer of buttercream. And you guys, I'm confident. I'm starting strong. This cake smells absolutely amazing. And yes, this is the cake recipe that is here on the channel. In addition to a little bit of pudding, I love to put pudding in my cake, okay? So this is the second cake right here. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I just did, the same template. This is the sole of the shoe. And you may or may not be able to tell, I purposely went a 1/2 inch around the actual template just to give myself a larger cake. I look like I'm really like going at it, like butchery type. But it's very gentle, just trust me, it's very gentle. All right, so now I have 2 big, thick heaping layers, and they look beautiful. Golly, I love a thick cake. There's nothing like just slicing into a nice thick layer of cake. That's a good time. So now I'm going to incorporate those scraps because now we are going up the shoe. So this is a fairly tall sneaker. So we need to make sure that we have enough cake for the tongue of the sneaker, the pull tab, and all the padding, okay? So yes, I did Google parts of a sneaker just so that I can be accurate for this video. Thank you. Now this is one of the pictures that she sent me. So you can see this is my reference. This is why I need a nice tall cake, because is this called a high top sneaker, you guys? Is this a high top? I think this is a high top. So if this is a high top sneaker, we need to make sure that it's high on top. It is much easier to cut away the cake than it is to add to it. Although we can still do both. With that being said, I'm making sure to cut a little bit at a time, and I really am trying to use these templates, not even just a guide, but a little guardian angel, okay? So now when I feel like I may be there, I'm going to go ahead and stick a large dowel through the entire cake. I am pushing it into the cake board, so you can really see me just kind of hammering that down in there. That way, this cake isn't going anywhere. It's not falling to the left. It's not falling to the right. It is very much secure. And I only did 1 dowel. I only needed 1. I didn't want to have to do 2. So this was perfect. Next, I'm going to give the cake a full crumb coat. And this is going to really allow me to see what I am working with. It's leaning, isn't it? It's leaning just a little bit. But that's okay. It's not the first little leaning tower of cake that I've had. We're gonna balance the cake out with some cake scraps. So all you have to do, I just like tucked some in under the heel on the left side so that we could have it standing straight up. It's totally chill, totally hard. Now I'm going to add another layer of frosting, and I'm going to completely smooth the cake out. This is always my favorite part because I like to use my hands. But as I'm frosting the cake, I'm looking at this so-called sneaker, and I'm getting worker's boot. Like, I'm getting a Timberland boot, not a sneaker. So I really do need to shave down some more of the cake where the toe area is. If you don't agree, just take a look at the picture for reference. You can see that the true thickness of the cake should start at the laces, not at the vamp. I just found out that that's called the vamp, by the way. But yeah, that shaving some of that chunk off of the top, that hunkiness, makes it look a little bit sleeker. More of a sneaker and less of a boot. And I'm using these cake crumbs to kind of mold the cake as well. So I did make a cake dough, which is like frosting and cake crumbs, and I really kind of used that as a plaster to reshape the cake on top so that it could look smooth again. Once I have fully frosted the cake and smoothed it out, I can now apply some fondant, finally. Don't mind all the Christmas decorations in the background. It's just ridiculous, you guys. Don't even know what I was going through. Trying to get everything situated in the midst of doing this cake and filming it for you guys. So anyway, these are the only two colors of fondant that I will be using, which is awesome. My golden yellow and my blue. So I was trying to look at the layerage of the actual sneaker and apply that to the cake. I'm going to start off with the vamp, and I poked a whole bunch of tiny little holes in there, and then I went to the top of the cake, which will be covered in that navy blue. Woo! I'm not gonna lie, you guys, this is where the internal panic kicked in just a little bit. I was so strong when I started off. Oh my goodness, what? This is gonna come out perfectly. What do you want? And then towards the 3/4 of the way, I was like, this is horrendous. Should I just call her right now in the middle of the night and say, I'm so sorry? Here's your money. But nope, nope. Because what we don't do is refund if we don't have to. Okay, we will pull through because it's all in the mind. And I continued to tell myself that for the next 8 hours. Marisha, just work, just move, don't stop, keep going. You can decorate a cake, girl. It's almost like I stopped trusting myself, but no, we're gonna keep on flowing. So I made the tongue. This is the tongue of the sneaker. Okay, whoo, and this was like, when I tell y'all, I truly didn't know where to go. But I said, I'm not going to stop. I don't care. The only thing that I did stop, though, was filming. I'm sorry. At this point, it's nighttime. I stopped filming because I'm like, I don't know what this is about to turn out to be. I have to focus 100%. I'm not trying to be up until 6 a.m. when I have to go to work the next day. I feel like at night the quality isn't good anymore because I'm just depending on indoor light. Everything is orange now. It looks like I'm just parked next to the sun carving a cake. I attempted to put a big sheet of golden yellow fondant onto the back. No, because there was a blue strap that had to go to separate the two. I had to go piece by piece by piece by piece. Rolling out golden yellow fondant, putting a piece back there, and then using my X-Acto knife to carve it out. And I also had to do a lot of patchwork. Unless I had a perfect template, which I could not find a template for this exact shoe. That would have been the only way that I could have gotten it, like, oh, carve it out, apply it, carve it out, apply it. No, I had to literally put it onto the cake, use my X-Acto knife, and eyeball it. My saving grace here, those shoestrings. Once you bring in those super realistic pieces that make you look at it and say, this is what it is, it's a shoe, it's a sneaker. It's like everything else doesn't matter as much. That's the focal point. Like you see it and you're like, oh, this looks good. And then everything else just ties it together. The last thing that I had to do was the gold chain. And I bought a little silicone mold for the gold chain. That little silicone mold, first off, I couldn't get the fondant out. And yes, I was using cornstarch, and then I went to use shortening, nothing would work. I even put it in the freezer. It wasn't working for me. I give up. So I just literally sat there, rolled out little pieces of fondant by hand, like little 2-inch pieces, and then linked them together. And then I used kebab sticks to like let it just kind of rest on something because it was a heavy chain. I let it rest on something until it was dry, and then I painted it gold as well. I added some edible cash to the cake board and I called it a day. You guys, I was so thankful that it was over. I was so happy that it was successful. And I'm sitting there like, I made a sneaker cake. I made my first sneaker cake. I'm so sorry that I couldn't film the whole entire thing from start to finish, you guys. I am realistic with my filming. It gets real sometimes. So you just gotta step back. Like, okay, let me cut the world off really quickly so that I can focus on this project, because this is somebody's birthday cake. Like, this is gonna be the feature at a party. Like, we gotta get it together, girl. Oh my goodness, you guys, y'all are asking me questions about the vendor events that I do. You have to watch the video. You have to, all of your questions are answered in that video. The cake needs to comment of the day is going to go to Brownie 39 Wilson 40. On my ice cream cone cake pops video, Brownie says, "You're amazing and so funny." Thank you, Brownie. That is so sweet. Thank you. You're amazing. And I'm sure that you are funny yourself. I'm sure we would have a blast. If you would like to be featured in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below and be subscribed to the channel, because there is one without the other, but you know. And I will see you on the next video. Lips are dry as usual. Bye, Cake Nistas.